Matthew James Geiger tiene su trabajo sobre la economía del suicidio. El director es el profesor Philip Bagus, igual que el director de Universidad anteriormente. Matthew, you know the time restriction we have, so you have 2 minutes to make your presentation. Because you are going to speak in English or in Spanish? Then we'll increase to 3 or 4 minutes. Go directly to why did you choose this subject, the goals of it, the analysis, the main points of the analysis, very briefly, and the conclusions.
Okay. Well, the great French philosopher Albert Camus said there is one true philosophical problem, and that is the idea of suicide. And even Mises, in his treatise on economics, human action, makes some remarks to suicide. And this is because, in a praxeological sense, the same mechanism that operates for people to pursue their desired ends and higher states of satisfaction can be the same means of having the beliefs and the ideas that what can be a desirable end may be resulting in taking one's own life, because this may be a higher state of satisfaction. In the United States and in Spain, the statistics are roughly similar. The second leading cause of death for people ages 10 to 34 is suicide, which is followed behind accidents, meaning that the second most dangerous thing to a person of that age group is themselves. And as civilization develops, we no longer face the problems of evading predatory animals or invading tribes. The challenges evolve in society, and these are much more psychological problems. Today, with modern medicine, we can replace every part of the human body except the mind and the brain. So these solutions required are completely different from what modern medicine has been able to produce. And I think that what is required is an understanding for what's going on, because it's not just biological issues that are causing suicidality. It's very much societal factors and influences and the cultural values and beliefs that people have that are resulting in this. And I really think that in the future, when we obtain a free market, private law society, capitalism is an economic system that promotes peace and prosperity. But once we remove the state, this is like solving cancer. There's still going to be other diseases that are issues, and we need to take that into consideration, because it is very stressful in times of entrepreneurial activity to compete. There's profits and there's losses. There's winners and losers. And these losers, this can be very anxiety-ridden for people who don't succeed in the marketplace. And I think that's something in the future we'll have to confront. But for the time being, in the world of statism that we live in, the argument that I'm making is that the existence of the state produces more suicides than what would otherwise occur in a free society. And if you look at the institutions of the state, specifically with monetary manipulation, just take the example of a hyperinflationary environment. Why is it that I'm going to work and better my life if the results are not going to be something I can make calculations moving forward? And also with economic crises, where we know where these come from, many people commit suicide during this time because they can lose everything. And this is not something people are adequately adjusted to in the world, as well as ideological monopolization. Mises says that the idea of public education is a philosophical problem. Who's going to teach children? You can teach reading, writing, and arithmetic, but after those first 3 hours, you're teaching values. And the values you teach is dependent on who is teaching the most vulnerable people in society, which are children, and the most impressionable people. And the state, obviously, socialists, they regard your property as their property. More nefariously, they regard your children as their property. And that's what we're creating with the system of public education and socialized education. As well as the military. The military, literally, I've heard this from veterans, they say they brainwash you. You must give in. Why? Because you have to bend to what the state orders. And what they inevitably demand is that you give up your life for the state. But we know that the wars today produced by the American industrial complex, they're run by central bankers. These are some of the worst people. They send other people's children to go die in war. And when people come back from the military, it's this hyper-societal situation. It's not just they experience violence that they commit suicide. It's because they were with their troop, and then when they come back to a society that we have today, it can feel very isolating. So people don't have the the same communal cultural values that could be experienced in one lifestyle. It's a very messy situation. And the last institution of the state that I go into is lockdowns. I think this was probably the most nefarious attack on people's civil liberties. They told people that you have to stay inside, you can't leave your house. They said you have to shut down your business. People create the economy. Every business is essential because it's how you provide food for your family. And if you're told, who's essential and who's not essential, this is a degradation of people's value as a human being. This really is harming to people's self-esteem. And obviously the only alternative in that situation is the state who has to, create some new money and hand out to people and do like a backdoor form of universal basic income. But
so your conclusions are the following.
The conclusion is that at this moment the existence of the state and its institutions are the most harmful societal institutions that are distorting people's values as human beings and producing more suicides than what otherwise would occur in a free market private law society.
Very good conclusions. La palabra a los miembros del tribunal. Tengan en cuenta que se trata no de presentar su trabajo, sino de hacer una presentación para que dé ganas a todos los que están aquí, como unos leones, a pedir una copia y esperárselo en casa. Eso es lo que se trata.